Hey artists, it's Mrs. Gartland here, and I'm going to show you how to begin our pastel technique practice in our sketchbooks. On the first heavy page of your sketchbook, you are going to label the top with the words oil pastels. Then we're going to divide our paper along the long and then the short side, creating 4 roughly equal boxes. In the first box, we're going to label it heavy pressure blend. And if your boxes aren't exactly the same size, that is a-okay. It's just a rough estimate. And then the next box, we're going to label light pressure blend. The third box, we're going to label with the word lines. And then the last box, we will label with the word dots. Then I'm going to get my oil pastels, and I like to have a paper towel handy too. I'm going to peel the paper off. You do not have to ask to peel the paper off of an oil pastel. If you need to, you can just do it and just throw that piece of paper in the trash. Please don't put it back in the oil pastel container. If you're using a light color like white or yellow or pink, you might need to clean it up first. That's why I like to have a paper towel handy. You could also use scrap paper for that. Heavy pressure means you press hard with the pastel so that none of the paper or very little of the paper shows through. I'm starting with my lighter color. I'm using orange and yellow, and I started with yellow first. And now I'm going to do the same thing with orange. This time I start at the bottom, and I'm going to overlap the 2 colors in the middle so that they blend and I get a third color. Look at that lovely yellow orange that I made. In the second box, light pressure blend, I'm going to do the same thing but with light pressure. Light pressure means that some of the paper shows through and you're holding the pastel with lighter pressure. The third box, you're just going to fill with as many different kinds of lines as you can. I love organic lines. They're my favorite. And you can also make wide, light lines, thin, heavy lines, whatever kind of lines you can think of. In the fourth box where it says dots, you can make light dots, heavy dots, large dots, small dots, dots that are close, dots that are far apart. You can use different colors if you would like. I like to stick with the same color scheme for my page because I just like the way it looks, but you can change up your colors for the lines and dot section here. That's totally fine. And that's our oil pastel practice. Then I'm going to flip my page over and I'm going to label the next page with soft pastels. And we're basically going to do the same thing, but with soft pastels. I'm going to divide my paper in half, the long and short way, and then I'm going to label each box heavy pressure blend in the first box, light pressure blend in the second box, and then you've got it, lines and dots in the third and fourth box. And I'm going to remove that little piece of oil pastel there. Then I'm going to get my soft pastels. Soft pastels are different than oil pastels because they are chalky and matte. They will often come in our class in a tray. Whoops, that is not a soft pastel. I'm going to put that back in the oil pastel container because there's another one. Oil pastels, put them back where they go. Now my soft pastel tray is ready. I'm going to choose 2 colors, and I am going to use heavy pressure just like I did with the oil pastel so that no or very little paper shows through. I should have started with yellow, but I started with red, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I have to press a little bit harder with that yellow to get it to blend into the red because the red is so strong. But there it is. You can see an orange in the middle. Now, I have a lot of dust that has piled up on the edge of my box. I am going to take this over to the trash can, dump it out. Voila! I have removed the dust from my paper. I'm definitely not going to blow it onto my classmates' paper or the desk. Light pressure blend, same thing. I'm going to use light pressure so that paper shows through and overlap the two colors. In the box with the lines, I am going to create different types of lines. Again, I love those organic lines. They just make me happy. I'm sticking with a warm color scheme. I don't know, it's just what I want to do today, but you could use whatever colors you like. There we go. I got some vertical and horizontal lines too, some intersecting lines. And now it's time for some dots. Big dots, little dots. I made some smudges with my fingers in the pastels. So I'm just going to make some like light, soft, fuzzy dots with the paper towel. You might try and erase those smudges if you really don't like them. It's something to keep in mind with soft pastels. They can be smudgy, so you have to pay extra close attention to where your fingers are and what you're doing in places in your paper with the pastels. Speaking of fingers, now my fingers are covered in soft pastel. I need to go wash my hands. Then I'm going to take my pastel paper, dump it in the trash, dump the dust in the trash, not my paper in the trash. And then I'm going to leave it at the spray station so Miss Gartland can spray it with hairspray.